Ahlan wa sahlan mara thaniya. Welcome back. Okay, today let's get right to it. We're going to talk about one of the most important word forms, and that is the Masdar. Now, many of you out there are saying, boy, I know about Masdars. I already understand them. Well, this is one of these things that some people, they learned about this concept through English grammar, and others find it very confusing. So, our goal today, when we finish this lesson, we want you to be able to completely understand the use of the Masdar in Arabic, okay, and have no confusion about it. Don't just think you know what they are. Okay, and to be able to recognize them when used. Now, over the next couple of months, you're going to learn the actual Masdar pattern of every measure, and you'll be able to recognize and form them instantly. But for now, we want to understand what they are. So that's our question. What is a Masdar? Okay, you may know a Masdar is a verbal noun. Now, some of you may know that a verbal noun in English is a gerund. If you know that, you went to a very fancy school. It doesn't matter whether you know that or not. But follow along, because as we often tell you about a lot of these concepts, in English the idea of a verbal noun is very fuzzy, it's inconsistent, and it bleeds over to a lot of things, whereas in Arabic it's actually quite consistent. So, the first point is it's a verbal noun. Okay, this thing is a noun, and that's very important. Yes, you're right. Okay, you want to know why is it very important? Because one of the basic ways to tell if you're dealing with a Masdar is this thing a noun? And we'll explain that later on. So if I take a sentence like, let's say for example in English, I like swimming. Now, is that word swimming a noun? Yes, it is. Think about it. It can be replaced with any other noun. I like pizza. I like cars. I like dogs, of course. Right? I like trees. I like jumping. Okay. Now, we could say something like, I am swimming in the lake. Same word, right? Swimming. Is that a noun? Absolutely not. Why? Because you can't replace it with any other noun. I am pizza in the lake. I am cars in the lake. Doesn't work. So, remember, although that a word like swimming, biking, eating, in English has many different uses. It has noun uses, it has what are actually participle uses. In Arabic, what we're talking about here is a noun. Okay? Got it. Okay. Alright, so everything you have seen so far in this unit has involved what we call measure 1 words, which doesn't mean a whole lot to you because you haven't seen any other measures. Okay, so here are some examples of what would be measure 1 Masdars. Okay, now notice I'm going to highlight all of these. We have words swimming, running, studying. Now, just ask yourself, are these nouns? And the way to ask is, can they be replaced with other nouns? I like swimming. Well, here's one easy way to tell. Right? All of these could be replaced by other nouns. Okay? So these are nouns. What makes them verbal nouns? Could you clarify? Yes, we could. Okay, so the idea here is these are nouns that talk about the doing of a verb, the doing of an action. What is swimming? It is to swim. It is someone doing the action of to swim, and so forth. And so that's the difference, right? Swimming is a noun, and this is really the whole concept. If you get this, you will not go wrong here. So make sure you get this. Swimming is a noun because it can be replaced grammatically with any other noun, but it talks about what? The doing of an action. Okay, so let's see an example. These are both nouns. But can we replace both of these nouns with verbs? Well, this one we can, but the one on the bottom you can't, right? Like if I said I like riding elephants or watching elephants or photographing elephants, that would be great. Okay, so hopefully now you have the idea of what a verbal noun is. However, we have to talk about what a verbal noun is not. Now here is the biggest hang-up I find for most people. So this is where you should pay attention so you're not getting confused for the rest of your Arabic career. Okay. In English, okay, many Masdars, many verbal nouns do end in ing. Right? See that? Ooh, so you could say, okay, any verb ending in ing is a Masdar. Well, we have to be cautious because, again, English is not consistent. Yes, English does use ing for verbal nouns. The problem is it uses it for a bunch of other things as well. Arabic does not use the Masdar pattern for anything other than a Masdar. And so here we go. Well, you can say, whoa, those are all Masdars, right? Because they're all swimming. Well, they're not really because, remember, a Masdar is a noun, and it can be replaced with another noun. So let's replace all these with a noun. Oh, I like swimming. I like pizza. He is swimming. He is pizza. Let's go swimming. Let's go pizza. Okay, so the idea is this first one here is a verbal noun. This is a gerund in English. The other two, although it's the exact same word, right, as far as how it's written, you can see it, and it refers to the same thing. These are not nouns. Now, you say that's confusing. Well, the easy way to remember is stop trying to think of the English grammar and just follow the Arabic grammar. Okay, so in Arabic, the Masdar can always be replaced by a verb. Now, the verb requires an, as you know, right? Uheb as-sibaha means literally, I like swimming. Uheb an asba means I like to swim. Literally, I like that I swim. Again, it's much more logical in Arabic. But what are they? They both mean the same thing. Okay, and so that is the idea of a verbal noun. So you are asking yourself this question right now. Okay, why do we spend all this time on it? Okay, Masdars are used much more often in Arabic than in English. In fact, it's one of the clues that someone is not a native Arabic speaker is that they will use verbs a lot more than they use Masdars. If you read anything authentic written in Arabic, it will use Masdars much more than it uses verbs. So you have to be able to recognize them. Okay? Particularly in written Arabic and particularly in the news. Now, the standard way this is done usually is, now you should know in the news they tend to have very long run-on sentences. I mean, they will go for half a page with one sentence. And the first verb that is mentioned has to be a verb. And in fact, the first word in a sentence is usually a verb. Every other verb that follows will be a Masdar. That is normal. That is the normal pattern. Okay, and so you just have to get used to recognizing. Okay, so we're going to review again. And going back to what we said so far, all the patterns you have seen so far have been measure 1, which doesn't mean a lot because you haven't seen all the other patterns yet. The problem is this. Measure 1, and just to review, measure 1 are the simple verbs or the simple words that use only the 3-letter root. Okay, so like yashrab, yadhab, yadras, there's nothing added to them. Okay, a word like yatakalam, you can tell that's got something added onto it. Anyway, we're going to learn all those patterns, but the bad news for now is measure 1 has no standard pattern for Masdars. You say, okay, why did we learn all this? Well, the others, 2 through 9, have a standard pattern, meaning you can look at a word instantly and say, that's a measure 2 Masdar, that's a measure 3 Masdar, and it won't look like anything else. Measure 1, unfortunately, does not have that. So, we can use some clues, however, to find a measure 1 Masdar. First of all, it's a noun. So it will have things that a noun has that a verb cannot have. As you know, a verb does not have the at the beginning, and a verb never, ever, ever, ever can have tamabuta at the end of it. So if you're putting tamabuta at the end of laysa, stop it. It can never be there. Okay. Because it's a noun, a Masdar cannot be conjugated. So let's take a look at this. All right, so here we have examples of Masdars and the corresponding verbs. Let's look at these. Uheb ajeri fi as-sabah. I like running in the morning. Okay, this was written by a very sick person. Uheb an ajri fi sabah. I like to run in the morning, or literally, I like that I run in the morning. Do they mean the same thing? Yes. Okay, can the Masdar al-jari be replaced by an ajri? Yes. Okay, tafadol as-sabaha fi as-sayf. Okay, she likes or she prefers swimming in the summer. Probably a good thing. Or tafadol an tasba fi as-sayf. Okay, she prefers to swim in the summer. Again, sibaha and tasba. She prefers swimming. She prefers to swim. Do they mean the same thing? Yes, we've just replaced this masdar with this verb. Okay. So these are masdars. These are measure one masdars because you notice they have simple measure one verbs. But notice they're not of the same pattern. Al-jari is not of the same pattern as a sibaha. But what clues us that these are masdars? Well, we have the al here and we have the tamabuta at the end. Tells us that these are nouns. Okay? Now, although there is no single pattern for measure one masdars, remember every other masdar is going to have one. This pattern that you see here for sabaha, hopefully you can all recognize the root, sabaha, okay, is fairly common. It's not the standard one, but putting this aleph here and this tamabuta at the end is fairly common. Like these. These are examples of measure one masdars that you've probably already seen before. Okay, now, as we say, when it comes to measure one masdars, you will have to use the context, your knowledge of roots, and occasionally, if you absolutely have never seen the root before, you'll have to use the dictionary. Let's take a look at this one. Kitaba. Uheb el-kitaba. Well, let's say you've never seen that word before. Okay, what is the root? Yes, kataba. What does that root mean? It has to do with writing. You can look and tell that this is a masdar by the pattern. It looks a lot like this pattern. So what is this? Take a guess. Writing. Writing as a noun. I like writing. I hate writing. I don't like that class because it has too much writing in it. Okay. Sahafa. Okay. Some of you have learned this already in the professions unit, and you know sahafa is journalism. You can tell that it's a masdar, but it's literally, you know, journalism doesn't end in ing, but it is a masdar. So you can already guess that this root, if you didn't know it before, sahafa, you can tell that this root has something to do with journalism, with writing. And so, like for instance, sahifa is a newspaper. Okay, sibaha. Okay, again, it follows that pattern. You know that this is swimming, and you've also seen words like masbah, which is a pool. Tijara, here's another one. Okay, trade and commerce. So this pattern, although it's not constant for measure one, it's relatively common and worth knowing. Okay, so let's say you came across this sentence. Now, you may have never seen this word before. You may not have even seen the root before. So hopefully you can recognize the root here is sa, noon, sad, noon, ain, sana'a. Okay, now if you know that word already, then you will be able to guess this masdar. Let's just say, for example, you don't. Well, you might jump right to your Hanswehr dictionary and say, ooh, I know how to look up words based on the root, and you could find it there. Okay, but remember, Hanswehr, his main goal is to put himself out of a job. He wants to write a dictionary that teaches you so much that you never have to use it. So let's see if we could figure this out without referring to the dictionary. Well, we can look at it. Okay, we can tell that it is a noun. It looks to be some kind of masdar. So we have sana'a blank, right? We don't know what it means. Sayarat, we know what that is. Muhimma, we know muhimma, jiddan, of course. Lil iktisad, for the iktisad. Okay, iktisad, you know, probably, I think most of you know this, is the economy. So blank sayarat, blank of cars, is very important for the economy. And if I specifically said blank of cars is very important for the economy, fi Bowling Green, ooh, what is this? Well, it has to be some kind of Masdar, and of course sana'a turns out to be manufacturing of cars. So if we told you there's a masna, a sayarat, in Bowling Green, you guessed that meant a factory, a place where you manufacture. So we have to do some guesswork for measure 1. For all other measures, though, there will be exact patterns that you can look at them and tell that's a Masdar. So the important thing, again, remember what our goal was in this fabulous lesson, was for you to understand what a Masdar is and what it is not. So when we talk about them in the future, you will be able to recognize them. So, on behalf of my good friend Zach, we want to wish you all the best in your study of Masdars and all those other patterns. Shukran jazilan wa atamana lakum yom sa'id wa dirasa mufida, inshallah.